All right, y'all. Welcome to the next installment of the Dismount Podcast. And today, I don't think you can really see this all too well. So shit, we'll probably change the lighting on that for next time. But one planet, who wins? It's episode 25, and we're coming at you. Oh, let's start it out. Let's fire away. What is something that jams you up about the internet? For me, it is so easy for the world to become so divided with no direct human interaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for me, like, I have a perfect example of this situation. Like, when you're dealing with, like, the Facebook comments or, like, comment section or, like, a Facebook post, any of that kind of stuff, social media post, it is so easy to sit behind that keyboard and just fire away whatever you want when I'm not face-to-face to you. Because face-to-face, we change. There's so many different categories that now get put into place, like posture, status, size, capabilities. Like I might know that
Capabilities.
I might know that Derry trains MMA or trains karate, and in my class, I might not say shit to that kid in class because I don't want to get my ass kicked. But at home, I'm perfectly fine to shoot shots at, oh, did you see how dumb Derry was today? Like, that's the kind of stupid shit of being able to hide behind that keyboard doesn't add those pieces to the puzzle.
Yeah.
Because, like, for me, for instance, like, this past weekend, we went to a concert, and there's kids, brand new drinkers, 21, probably 22, decide they're going to start throwing their beer cans down into the, crowd of the lawn. And I instantaneously, everybody that was around us was already frustrated with these people when they came in to the situation. They tried to steal these two old-ass guys' rental chairs. Like, the guys went up to go to the bathroom, and they left their rental chairs sitting there, and these kids were, like, trying to steal it. The lady who was sitting next to me, at one point, I didn't even say anything to her, but she got stepped on because someone was walking through us, and I was like, oh, man, that lady just got stepped on. And she turns to me and looks at me and goes, I want to punch that kid in the red shirt in the face. And I was like, that's not even what I said to you. And that was one of those kids who ended up throwing the beer cans. So I had my shoes off, man. I'm just chilling, having a great time at this concert, drinking some good old, what do they got? Now all they have there is death water. And all they have is just the death water in the can. Yeah, liquid death.
It kind of hits though.
No, liquid death was solid. It was
hits.
great in the can, dude.
I know when I needed a can or I needed a water at a concert, I got a liquid death. I was like, oh, it's kind of nice.
I wasn't upset.
Nice. I feel kind of cool,
Well, that was the one thing we did like was because it made you look like you were drinking with the can when you were just hitting the water,
All about
right?
that perception, baby, man. Walking around, no shoes on, got the can in my hand. It's just like, it's just water. It's just water.
These kids start
Hard
throwing...
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. 100% cargo shorts.
I got 3 more cans in my pockets.
Instantaneously, dude, these kids chuck a can into the crowd, and I just right down into the group because there was like a Navy SEAL, like U.S. Marine guy, like hardcore dude, like one of 3 of the only people on that lawn that I was actually like, no, I don't want to square off against this looking guy. This guy pulled his shades down at one point in time, and I could see in his eye that he has strangled another person to death. That he has experienced how terrible of a situation it is to take another person's life, and that he's never going to be able to get that back. And this guy, I saw him just turn around and look at these kids whenever they started throwing cans, and I was like, I don't want him to have to do that in front of his wife and his 4 kids. So I right down into them, and I was like, look, we're going to cut this shit the fuck out right fucking now. We're not going to fucking do that, and we're going to settle it the fuck down instantaneously. And the one kid's like, oh, I didn't do anything. And the other kid goes, this kid right here is fucking huge compared to me. And he's looking at me like, who the fuck is this fucking guy? And the other dude who's all belligerent goes, what the fuck are you going to do about it? And the DD, who was probably like maybe like 2 inches shorter than this dude, but still like this dude was 6'4", I'm 6'1", he's still over top of me, and this kid was easily 6'2", taller than me. And the DD kid goes, nope, we don't want any problems tonight. And I just turned around and walked away. Like, he did an up down on me, and he saw me as just like this grizzly fuck with no shoes on, just came barreling down into here and has a water in his hand. This dude's got no shoes on and just came down into 6 fucking guys and was like, look, we're going to cut this shit the fuck out. No. And he was looking in front of him. It wasn't just me, dude. It was not just me. It was the fucking guy in front of me who was with his family and was ready to just absolutely fucking end those kids.
Like, this guy got the energy of the universe stored up in him through his feet, man. I don't want to...
How he knows capoeira.
Dragon Ball Z, just like... Have you ever met someone that you communicated first with online?
Have I ever
Were you
met
ever part of like an
someone-
online community where you like met somebody that you had spoken with online first and then met them?
I mean, there's
Really?
dating too. Like there's dating apps, but we're not talking about that.
Actually.
I can't say that I've met, like I've become friends with a couple guys who streamed as well. Like for instance, the Tyler down in Arkansas, like, or Oklahoma. I've met these people from there, but I haven't met them in person per se yet.
Yeah, I've met some people that I have met online first and then met them, and it's crazy the difference. Like, not that there's a difference or they come off as a different person, but like, especially online, there's such a, that was my, like, what jams me about the internet is like the inability to find reality. Like I it's becoming hard for me to be online right now because I feel like it skews my perception of reality so badly, horribly.
Yeah.
Like whether it's, I mean, no one's handily talking about how bad of a day they have on the internet, and when they do, people kind of just make fun of it.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like, I gotta show everyone how well I'm doing, you know? But like, even with the community base of like meeting people, like that persona of someone builds of like who they are on the internet, and then you meet them in real life, you're like you're nothing like I thought you were, you know? And like for a million different reasons. But it's always interesting to see, like, I remember in college we had to do the there's like Second Life or something. It's like there's like Avatar, like you're like kind of the VR like thing before VR. You know, you usually had like has sim avatar, and then you know you go and you build up to be whoever you want it to be, and you go talk to people and whatever. And it just reminds me of that, is like it gives you this ability to genuinely escape your reality. And while some people could see that as a benefit, and I'm sure that it can be, it becomes tough for me in those senses nowadays to find the difference between what's online and what I'm experiencing in reality. Like a lot of like things I might worry about in my life in general, like that's not reality. Like we just talked about, like putting shit out there that isn't out there. And then the second you start thinking and you know, creating that, it is a lot more likely to occur.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I find that so tough on the internet now, is like trying to find like the truth in the universe online. It's seemingly impossible.
No, and that would be like, everyone claims, well, I shouldn't say everyone. What a stupid thing to say. But there's so many people that are on that whole like spiritual grind of like trying to take this version and connect it back to my higher self, like basically just ascend out of this fucking experience. And that piece of the puzzle right there, of that, like trying to grasp what your reality is, like to me just like takes that whole thing and goes, what the fuck game are we playing right here?
It's like it's ultimately two completely different realities. Like you're just talking about cutting the grass and like keeping up with the Joneses. Like it's a lot of that online too. Like, oh, this person did this, I got to go do that now, or I got to show how great my life is. What does it matter? It does nothing for you. It's never done anything for me. Like, my girlfriend and I dating, and like, oh, like, do we have to like put it on Facebook? Don't fucking care.
Yeah.
Why would I care? What does that do for me? I know we're in a great relationship. I want to keep that sacred. That's all I want. I don't give a shit if the people I haven't talked to from high school in 15 years know that I'm in a relationship and I'm happy. I'd rather them not know. I'd rather them they didn't have any interest in me before. I don't even know why I'm friends with them on Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not important for me to tell that. That's like, you know, like social media now. Like I look at like my Instagram, for instance, like I have a bunch of people who follow me and when I post shit, I probably truly interact with like 20 of them. There's like 500 people on Instagram that follow my account. I'm like, I don't need you knowing all of this. And that's the difference, is like it's you're living two lives almost. And like for the people that don't interact with you in real life, there's like this build up perception of who you are and what it might be. And like it's not fulfilling to you. And then for you to have that perspective of other people who may or may not have like this, I'm not saying about me, but just the way I perceive people, like, oh, that person's always out doing cool shit. They're having so much fun. Like, look at, they're like, man, I need a little more of that in my life. That person has the same exact issues that everyone else has, you know? And it's just like, it's another job to be relevant and, you know, active in being on social media, trying to like preach who you are to like the void.
Mm-hmm.
It's for me, and what I've been trying to focus on, it's seemingly becoming counterintuitive.
They might even have more demons by putting themselves in that exposed like environment or putting themselves online. So they keep trying to like give this beautiful persona of who they are. that might even honestly open up more demons.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And more like terrible stuff for yourself. Because like a couple guys that I've seen their stuff on, the couple guys who I've seen on TikTok who like, I will not say I'm jealous of, but I definitely am like, that's super cool that you got that opportunity. And I would definitely like be intrigued to like find out like some cool shit too. But like a couple of these guys went to the Monroe Institute recently down in Virginia. And the Monroe Institute is this entire facility that all they're doing is they are astral projecting. They are walking through the spirit realm. They are doing all that kind of stuff of just like handling higher entities and communicating with them through meditation and all these different like pathways that they've now created. And these guys have all come back and said that their higher self told them that every single answer that they need to know about the universe and about the truth of the universe is within them. And that they just have to sit and just be in peace. And like, dude.
Yeah.
That's like what opens up this whole concept of like the one internet, one planet. Like, do I really want to spend this potential existence just going and sitting on a Tibetan like mountain and just hanging out up in the Himalayas with the monks and just sit there and just meditate until I finally like bust my third eye open and like can see all of like the Akashic records is what they claim they are, is just literally like this library that you walk in that's just endless forever. And it's all the information of the universe. And it's everything that's ever happened. And it's everything that potentially ever could happen. And documentation, you can just walk through this. You go into a meditative state and you just astral project yourself into the Akashic records. And you can just access all the information of all of reality. And that to me, like, what? Like, that would be super cool to be able to do that. How long does that take me to like, am I going to rob myself of this like experience of being a human by spending all this time trying to be my higher self? And like, why would I spend all that time trying to become my higher self if I was gifted this opportunity of experiencing what it is to be a human?
Yeah.
Experiencing the high vibrations, the low vibrations, the fears, the errors, the joy, the happiness, all of the emotions, all of the different, spectrum of senses.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like there's a balance, because the opposite end of the spectrum of that would be sitting in your apartment doom scrolling for 6 hours.
Bingo.
Right. So like no one's telling you not to look at your phone, and no one's telling you to go to the top of a mountain and meditate your soul out of your body. But like, there is like for the internet, for me, it's always been best used when it's a tool for me to use in my actual life, not like to just, escape. Because that's what it is. That's what it's become for me, at least. It's like, that's just an escape. That's for me to, like, all the answers are within you. Oh, yeah, I know they're there. I'm going to fucking look at cooking videos for 6 hours and then get fucking McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I swear I'm going to cook this shit, dude. All right, dude, what's for dinner? Fucking pizza. Cool. I'm going to cook this shit one day. But I think that's the tough part is, like, yeah, we talk about balance. And I think that's generally one of the most important things you can add into your day to day. But yeah, I think a little bit of the meditating, a little bit the Tibetan, Buddhist monks, like what they do, but a little bit of like I'm also just a person who, like, it's been a tough day. I'm gonna sit here and just fuck around with my phone. Like you're allowed to have both of those, but it's when you start using in a negative manner, which I found myself guilty of not recently, fucking my entire time I've had a fucking cell phone, it feels like, but of like not using it as a tool, using it as an escape, using it as something that takes me out of the human experience.
Intent.
Yeah, the intent. Yeah.
Yeah, it's I think it's always what intent or intention you were putting on that situation. So if your intention was to basically doom scroll and basically make myself mindless, or get to that point of just, it's like, oh, it's been 3 hours.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Oh, it's dark outside now. Fuck. Like, like that. But you didn't go into it with the right intention. But like the guy who's like, all right, I want to learn how to jet ski, and gets on and is like on YouTube how to jet ski.
Yeah.
The
AJs of the world.
Yeah. And like going into the internet with the right intention. And like, I'm going to utilize this as a tool. And like, there's a girl, I have no clue what her name is, but I saw her video on Friday at work on TikTok, and she grew her TikTok to 10,000 followers in 10 days. And she goes, it's all intention. I have friends who literally say like, oh, I would love to have 100,000 followers on TikTok. Why do you want to have 100,000? Oh, just because it'd be cool. Well, okay, but what are you going to do with that? Like, what is the purpose behind why you are getting that? And like her intent, she put an intention out there that she wanted this amount of people to be able to give this amount of information and knowledge to be able to grow her business to this amount of place, for her to be able to be this amount of successful, to be this amount of content and happy in life.
Yeah. It's like,
and you're like, whoa,
is what I'll do with it. And when we did our journaling before the bike race, like that was the hardest part, was the intentions. I just had a conversation at work, like with my boss. He's like, you're doing great. Everything's great. He's like, but like, again, we've talked about this and I'm on board, is like, there's always ways to be better. And it came up the conversation of like setting intent for like what you plan to do, like actually strategizing and setting intentions on how you're going to actually do what you want to do, not just hoping and praying it happens. I'm confident in my abilities, but without a game plan, how the hell am I actually supposed to get there? I don't think like fucking Pat Mahomes shows up and just like starts slinging the ball. I mean, he's good. He's not that good, So I think like having that intent in anything, and that's why it was the hardest part, that journaling for me, man. Like writing it down and having to make an agreement with myself that this is what I'm going to do. There's just something about me that doesn't like that at all. But when done, it feels different. Things happen differently. You get shit actually accomplished. It's a whole different game. Shit actually accomplished.
Is this where you were going with you like all the beautiful things of social media, but not the worst?
Yeah, I actually, while you guys were starting on intention, the word intention was like firing in my head like 10 times. And then as soon as you said it, I was like, there it is. And I was thinking, as far as like intention, I was thinking the two words attention and execution falling right after. Intention, attention, and execution. And I've been thinking about, for my thoughts on social media, I think the addictive elements is where you guys were hitting a lot. And that was some of my qualms with it, was that it's addictive. You end up, just internet in general is addictive. Like once you get on a YouTube loop, that can be bad too. Like, but you can get it on a great one. Like I treat my YouTube account like a library and a reading list. I have a reading list and I have what videos come next, and I stay disciplined. If I'm going to be on YouTube, I try not to go to the shorts or anything like that. I shouldn't say that. Go to our shorts, watch them. But I try to I try to like have a disciplined reading list. And even though you're listening to material, I generally go to YouTube for education and try to go through good, very pre-selected topics and subjects. But the other part you guys were mentioning was about bullying. And I mentioned in here, one of my qualms is that, you end up, your bully follows you all the way to your bed. Like your bully can reach you in your bed contacting through your phone. And I think that's a very bad thing. Just the fact that your phone can connect you to everyone anywhere can be really good. It's fantastic. It can also follow you home if you have a work phone, or if you don't have a work phone, it still follows you home because people can still call you. I recently had an experience with, being too connected to work, and I was filling in, and I'm the guy filling in, but I'm still getting called on the day off. So I was like, all right, we're not going to bug the guy on vacation because he's on vacation. So let's call the guy who's on his day off, who's the floater. It's like, well, I mean, you guys are really just like picking which one's like a crappy situation. Do we bug the guy who's on vacation, or the guy who it's his Sunday, but it falls on a Monday? So it's like, you get very connected. You get very connected to the, to anything happening. It's great when you need to pay your, Capital One card, an hour before it's due. Fantastic. But then I'm also the same school of thought. I want to unplug, but then on your day off, you still get calls.
And
So
it's horrible. Then you feel guilty about it.
Yeah.
You feel guilty. You're like, oh, man, I should answer.
Yeah.
I should check,
crazy.
Like
I like my job.
Yeah. Like I have my work phone's built into my cell phone. It's just an app, and it's just, I have it there because like if I'm on the move or like, what's up?
Ring Central.
It's WebEx. WebEx, yeah. So like all my chats, all my work-based chats, all the text messages, all the calls go to one app. And like during the busy time of year, I have to have. I need it. During the summer, not so much. Sometimes I'm like working from home and I'm out on the bike. Like I need it. I want it to be there in case someone's calling me or something. I'm trying to take a break. But God, like just I've spent so much time recently thinking about like what was so different like 30 years ago. Like how did people live? Like that's what I want to get back to. I need to find ways to get back to that because like I'm sure people worried about work, but like the connectivity of like I am practically always freaking working, or I know more about people from high school and their relationships than I do about me trying to budget for, my new apartment and bills I have to pay. Like,
Yep.
I can tell you 10 people who got engaged this year. Can't tell you shit about what my electric bill costs this month. I have no clue. So like the prioritization, sure, but I just like the escape of it. And I think like we were talking about, man, it's just like the intent of the way you're using it's so important.
Yeah.
Well, that right there would have me think about like, dude, vegans versus carnivores on the internet. That whole situation pissed me off so much. And that's my whole thing about the internet is how easy it is for people to get divided and start just arguing or gang up on a specific entity and just like all just shit down the throat of like one person in a comment section who's like the vegan versus the carnivores. But like that goes into the whole concept of like the vegan versus the carnivore of like, what the hell were these people actually yelling at each other for? Because on one end, you had the vegans who were like, we feel so much better. And then the carnivores that are like, all we eat is red meat and we feel fucking amazing too. I'm gonna fucking chop 30 fucking boards of wood right now, And like, what the fuck? Like everybody was, yeah, why does he talk like that? Never know why. Voices of shit, man. But you had both these people on both sides that said, we feel amazing. It's our side that's better. We feel amazing. It's our side that's better. You all got rid of the processed foods. Like you all got rid of the garbage shit that's on the center aisles of the grocery store. You all started buying from just the outside perimeter. That's why you're fucking feeling better. Like, damn. And like so like the internet just allows you this ability to just keep the shit, throwing shit in there for no reason and just yelling at someone. Like there's no perfect cookie cutter mentality to like a diet that is going to work for all three of us. There's not. Like at some point in time, your body reacts to dairy different than my body reacts to, or you can eat Southwest and not take a shit. You know what I'm saying?
Love it. I'll take that over milk.
It just reminds me of Praskovich when we went to Columbus and he did like the hot burrito challenge. Were you there? For
No.
I don't think I
that? I think it
was.
was me and
That was the Nick trip, wasn't
me
it?
and Nick and Ryan, and I think was that it? Maybe John. Doesn't matter. Ryan did like the hot burrito challenge at like this restaurant in Columbus, and like they're like staring at him like, oh my god, this guy's just pounding it. He pulled out flaming hot pork rinds and like crushed it up and put it over like the last few bites to
Oh
really
my gosh.
prove it. You're like, dude, I'm that guy. I can eat this.
Wow.
Lunatic, dude.
It's insane.
Yeah, I just like, okay, cool. You're getting rid of the poisons in your life. That's the main takeaway is no, here's a platform for us to argue over, because that's what it generally is. I mean, I follow a bunch of sports. Man, that's like Twitter. Twitter bums me out because I need to get off Twitter. Twitter 10 years ago, I loved it. I could
yeah.
dude, back in the day, like I could go on when like hockey news broke and there was a big trade of like, oh, dude, you're going to find out instantaneously. Now there's so much fake shit out there that you can't even tell the difference and you have no clue. But it's just, and then especially sports wise, it's just a platform to argue over nothing. You're arguing over nothing. Like those conversations are best spent at a bar with your friend drinking beer, you know? And that, I find it hard for people to like, I guarantee you people don't have those conversations like they used to. You know, sit down with Titty comes over to the bar, you know, we have a couple beers, we're talking about the football game. Yeah, we still have that, but like people have this platform where like that human interaction doesn't even occur anymore. What does occur is you being online, you're looking for something to argue about. And just because like you have a horse in the race, now I can just, you know, berate people, bully them, talk shit on people just because they don't share the same point of view. It doesn't make any sense. And then like as far as the carnivore vegans go, you know, why is every country in the entire world outside of us not morbidly obese? Probably because they're poisoning most of freaking food with additives and shit that doesn't like why. You know how many additives have been banned in Europe that are commonplace in the United States?
Too many.
Why can people in Italy eat carbs for every single meal and then they got to tell me I can't eat carbs? It's not about the carbs. It's about what goes into the bread to keep it freaking fresh for... Dude, there's bread that will stay fresh for like, okay, yeah, it's best by this. Dude, that bread is still rolling nowadays. It's not the same. It's not your fresh loaf from Breadworks most of the time. And even then, who knows what's in that, but... Yeah, it's a platform to argue, not so much about what you're arguing about. And people just, maybe we're bored. Maybe it's a way for people to communicate in a world they don't feel otherwise able to. But it is a funny argument because why can't we all just sit there and go, oh, wow, we both found something that makes us feel great. That's terrific.
Yeah.
And then move on to your fucking life.
Or try to learn something instead.
Yeah. Or just... You feel great. You feel great.
Yeah,
Hell yeah.
when did we lose feeling good for other people?
Yeah.
You know?
When did we lose like you're feeling amazing? Oh, make you feel like shit.
Yeah, let me bring you
like,
straight down to my realm. You
Right.
Piece of shit.
Yeah. When did the it's a shame. It's a shame because I think there's a massive, or do we think there's a massive shift coming?
In general?
In general. With where things are going right now, I think there's a potential shift afoot.
Shit like yesterday happens and then you wonder like, oh, has the world existed for you know, thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and millions of years or whatever it is, and then or like not simulation discussion based, but like, man, it's a really interesting time to be alive, dude. Like if you ever had to think of like, cool, like you just popped the helmet on and you picked a time to be alive, this is when most people probably decide like, oh, I'm gonna get the best bang for my buck. Right before the internet starts, all this crazy shit happens. We're still young, like, yeah, dude, that's when you would throw the simulation helmet on and go, all right, 1992 sounds good, and you're flying over. But, like, man, shit like that happens, and you go, oh, my God, it's like, this, yes, it is the best time to be alive, for sure. Oh, my God, safety and connectivity and the things you can accomplish, absolutely. But it's also like you said, what's next? What could possibly be fucking next?
Well, they claim a lot of these guys who went to the Monroe Institute are on TikTok right now talking about how there's like literally just so many different races and species that are just literally floating around in our galaxy right now because they are watching the greatest show in the galaxies.
It's pretty funny. Yeah.
Futurama has a great episode on that.
Really?
What was
Yep.
it?
Futurama.
Yeah. How'd it go? Do you
I'm
remember
pretty
it?
sure it's literally their reality show. It might be Rick and Morty, one of them. It might be both of them also. But there's just like your reality as a TV show. I'm pretty sure it's Futurama.
Well, yeah. Even with the internet itself, like, yeah, kind of is. Like you seen Truman Show, Brandon?
Oh,
right?
I
Yeah.
love Truman
You
Show.
seen it? Yeah, it's the same. I mean, yeah,
You often feel like you're in Truman Show.
right. Oh my God, it's so horrifying. You know, to think about, like, in general. Like, I don't need anyone watching me. I prefer not, but like, then there's no issue for me to post like, oh, here I am on my trip. Here's what's going on. Look at my life. But in the same token, I'm also like, I don't want anyone to know what the fuck I'm doing. Please don't look over here. But like, it's again, it's counterintuitive. What is my real intention? What is the point of what I'm doing? Is there a point? Am I just fucking out here vibing, man?
Yeah, I've thought about that with our content too. Just like what we put out there and like what we've been trying to create with this podcast in itself. Like, we've gone into this with the intention that we were going to be three jabronis who do not know what the universe is completely, nor are we going to act like we know. And we're just going to psychoanalyze ourselves basically and share past traumas, share thoughts, share fears, you know, all this different stuff, joys, happinesses, to get other people to start to catalyst into that mentality. And that was always our intent with this, starting this podcast. At least that was my intent.
Mhm.
And sometimes I feel like some of the stuff that we put out there maybe doesn't always have, like, you know, we clip stuff from Opus and it might not always have like the exact message or like the impact that we really thought it was going to have from like the episode that we recorded. And we knew that there were clips in there. I sit there and I think to myself, like, all right, that clip didn't do very well,
Mhm.
but it did get us one new follower. And if that helped one other person or made one other person feel some kind of comfort or some kind of, like, you know, level of understanding or some kind of mutual like connection, like, oh, these guys might understand me, or those guys, I'd love to talk to those guys someday because I feel like I could have an amazing conversation with those guys.
Yeah, join the Discord.
Yeah, join the Discord. And I love that our intention was always to just help the world continue to grow. Like, it wasn't like, I don't want any power from this. Do I want to see our TikTok and our Instagram and our YouTube have millions of subscribers and millions of followers? Yes, I would love to see that happen. If it doesn't, who gives a fuck? But if it does, it'll be amazing, because then that capability to reach that many more souls or that many more people on this planet with this message of just enjoy yourself.
Mhm.
What else is there to do besides just like taking the good, taking the bad, and just experience it? And like, it's not always going to be amazing, but like, did you think it was always going to be amazing? Like, do you think everything is going to be perfect at all times? Like, you can't just keep riding a high.
Mhm.
At some point in time, you're going to hit the peak and you're going to have to come down. So being able to experience those ups and those downs, like, isn't that kind of like, that's kind of cool, honestly. And like, people give death such a bad rep, but like, death is sitting in the corner like, bro, I got a fucking purpose too.
Uh-huh.
You know, like,
Hilarious. I literally saw that Meet Joe Black is on YouTube for free. And I tested it. I plugged it in for like 5 minutes and I was like, is this real? It's real.
Meet Joe Black.
Literally popped up whenever I went to like I pulled open YouTube just for background noise when I woke up, and Meet Joe Black was free.
Fill me in on that. Fill me in a little bit on that, and fill in our audience on what that movie actually is.
Meet Joe Black is Anthony Hopkins is going to die in about a week. Death wants to experience life from a human's perspective. So they ask Anthony Hopkins, will you be my tour guide? This isn't really a question. It's, you're going to be my tour guide or I'm going to kill you right now. So then Death comes back as Brad Pitt. And then Anthony Hopkins' job for the next week.
Good go of it, man. Come back as Brad Pitt.
Yeah. He just happened to be lucky. He's like, hey, take me around and I'll let you live for one more week. And his birthday is coming up. So he's like, I'll let you live for one more week if you take me around. And for anyone who's listening, like, especially if you're on YouTube already, go ahead and check that out. It's pretty awesome. But yeah.
Like a super interesting concept of like, actually, like, I don't know, man. To me, like, I remember being a kid and I look back on just the idea of the internet itself. Cause like, for instance, like we grew up with the internet becoming something. Like we were born in 1992. Like the internet wasn't anything. And then it is now what it is. So to me, like this whole concept of death was something that was so terrifying as a kid. Like I used to keep myself up at night, like thinking about the concept that like at some point in time, I'm going to have to live and I'm not going to be able to talk to my mom. I'm not going to be able to talk to my dad. I'm not going to be able to call them. Like that shit used to keep me up at night. And then what also kept me up at night was the fact that like, I didn't want to like go to sleep. Like I just wanted to keep living. I just wanted to keep experiencing things. I just wanted to keep doing. And I never gave myself that opportunity to like rest and go into that like astral plane of like all these wild shit. Cause like when I would go to sleep, these like stories that I've told you of like my dreams before, that was my entire like childhood, was just a constant like Jason Bourne dream every single night. That it was like, that was like, I was sitting there like, I don't want to experience this at all. Like in my dream, like I don't want to go to sleep. I want to keep living so that I don't think about those kind of things. And then I grew up and I got to a point where the internet has become what it is. And the internet keeps me up at night because I'm sitting here thinking like at any point in time, I could be making money. I could be making passive income because there's always people online, always buying at every single hour of the day. So then I sit there and I keep myself up at night trying to work harder to get as much out on the internet as I can. I gotta build this print on demand store that I still haven't accomplished and still haven't done. Like it's frustrating as all hell. I'm like, why haven't you fucking done it? There are people who are literally like buying shit right now and you're sitting here at 3 o'clock in the morning. You just woke up and you're like, fuck dude. And then you don't go to sleep. And so you keep running this whole shitty little circle of just constantly being tired and constantly never giving yourself that opportunity to rest and maybe get some answers from your higher self. Because the thing that I didn't think about for so long was every time I was going to sleep, those fears that I had when I was awake were the fears that I was getting to experience when I went to sleep. And they were building me into a person who was strong enough to be able to accept death and accept that in my reality. And I never gave them that opportunity until I was this old, the recognition that they were.
Yeah, that's interesting to look at it that way. Like the dreams are holding you accountable. I had a horrible time with dreams. There's some dreams that have like changed my life. Like I'll never forget when I had a dream that I was at my childhood home and my stepmom was there, and without even anyone saying anything, I knew that we were prepping for my father's funeral. I'm like, I woke up and I lost my mind crying. You know, like shit like that, like hit me really weird in a sense. And I don't know like how much that actually has to do with like my relationship with my father or anything like that, but just in general, like the idea of death or whatever it is, or like those dreams holding you accountable to like taking your life seriously. Like, yeah, you're right. Like those things that like you're ignoring, like they're going to manifest themselves somehow. So if it's in your subconscious and you go to sleep and that's where it is, like those dreams in the past have held me accountable to like, all right, dude, you can't hide from your bullshit. There's no hiding. You could try to hide, but you're not. There's no way. It makes me think what you said about like death. Like you're like so scared of it early, and then like you turn 30, it's like any day would be fine at this point. Honestly, my knees like just not working the right way again. But you ever with dreaming, Teddy? I'm interested in your. I know this is completely off topic, but we'll keep rolling.
No,
'cause it's
please.
good. Do you feel like you go to the same place? Have you ever caught yourself like slipping into a sleep
Like
or a
returning?
dream and like you know where you're going, or you're in a dream and you're like, I've been here before?
Yeah, I've definitely had a dream repeat itself. But my dreams, they're kind of sporadic. They end up like movies often. Like it'll become. I mean that's a dumb thing to say. Everybody's dreams often end up like movies. For anyone listening, also as a preamble, my concept of dreams is like if you take a flip book that you've drawn on, and your flip book is taking copy and pasting different images you've experienced. You might have had Italian food that night, but then you also might have watched an action movie. All of a sudden, you're going to be having a dream that's about the Godfather. It's just copy and pasting different things that are related and unrelated, and then it's flipping through, and then you might have like that Godfather movie might be playing in your dreams. But generally, mine are very interesting because they'll end up like character could be a completely different person. Like I might be, we'll just say that I come back as Ruby and I'm Ruby walking around. But then all these things aren't explained. They're just assumed. Like it's crazy because there's a dialogue that isn't there, but it's all of a sudden, it's like, here's a concept. If you ever watch the movie Arrivals, they talk in experiences. Their language is experiences. So we might be trying to communicate something to you, but all you can do is you can just like be like, hey, this happened at one point in your life. And it just sends you, its language as an experience, like a memory.
Oh man, that's what I'm talking about. Like that unspoken, like that dream I had. Like no one said anything. I already knew where I was. Horrifying. Have you ever felt like you've gone back to the same place? Because I feel like that happens to me. Like, I guess the question was like, based off the fact that like when I dream, like, dude, there are specific environments that the same thing doesn't happen, but I go to. There are certain places I go to the point where I wonder, am I like
The stage is the same.
Am I going? When I go to sleep, is my conscious shifting into another reality in which I that's where I am, another person? When I go, is that where I'm going? Like I don't know. It's a weird thought process because I just like I can when I'll be half asleep, but I can feel like this presence that is familiar, I should say. Like where I like, oh, I've been here the whole time. It's fucking creepy, dude.
Shit, I want to talk about this whole concept deeper because I have
For another hour. It's not.
I have a thought that for that episode. Do you think going to bed? Do you think that environment that you're stepping into or that timeline that you're stepping into is a higher timeline or a lower timeline? And do you think that when you go to bed, your intent of how your day went and how your mood would set if you're going into a higher timeline or a lower timeline? And do you get to a place where you don't dream anymore because you're experiencing your highest timeline?
Okay, yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, it sounds very interesting.
Dreams, deep episode coming in about 10 weeks.
Yeah.
We have so much content ready. We got so many episodes going. We got all the way out till, I think we're at like 35 is what we're at right now with ideas. And we're filming 25 right now. So we are cooking, boys. But transitioning back into what we were talking, small communities, big cities. I think this is where this potential shift of what we might be seeing is what's actually playing out here, is where there's going to be more small communities created and more large cities actually defined into like a different setting than what they are.
I feel like cities are already losing it, dude.
Pittsburgh's an example downtown.
Town, dude.
Yeah.
There's what 1.3 people in the greater Pittsburgh region, and there's 300,000 in the city of Pittsburgh. A million people that are considered themselves to be from Pittsburgh, and they don't live in Pittsburgh. That alone already, you know what I mean? Like you live in the city, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't have a Pittsburgh address.
Is it a blue street sign?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think it is. I think you live. I don't know. Maybe. You don't live in the city either, but you live in Pittsburgh, right?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? So like, I feel like that alone, I think the cities are already go downtown, dude. Like, there's nothing there. It's not the way it was when we were kids.
Yeah,
I
people are
feel like
moving out of those buildings.
they're going to start repurposing most of the office space into apartments. Like a lot of that office space will never come back, never. And that alone, I think you're starting to see people, no matter how far the internet has transitioned, like clinging more to small communities. Like that's where it's at its best. There's like a video of July 4th on the internet of like a couple different towns, like people like shut down like their tiny block, and there are people from every background, race, age were outside like having a cookout, playing music, all dancing together. Like that's where the real growth and the real human experience is. So as far as like one planet versus one internet, fuck the like as far as I can go. Yeah, unless it's a tool for you to use in your life to make it better, that's all that matters. And you see videos like that, and you're like, when did we lose that, man? Where was that sense of community? It's probably because we are more connected than ever, but actually less connected than ever in all reality.
That takes me back to Sandlot, the movie.
Yeah.
And like you think about that like 4th of July picnic through there, and just like all the kids having a blast, and just like it just looks so much fun, you know? Like where did that sense of community like die off? And I think that's what's coming back.
Yeah.
Like hardcore right now. I think it's making a comeback like no other.
It feels like you're like you want it. Like I love my neighborhood's great. I'll still be a part of it in some sense. I won't live where I used to live after a couple more months, but like even like the music festival, like I saw my girlfriend makes fun of me, like fucking Mr. Popularity over here, because like
oh my gosh, you were hilarious.
Walk out, there's like every 5 minutes someone says hi, but like they're all people I love, and that's ideally community wise, that's what I like. Like there's Big Dan, there's Little Dan, there's whatever it is. Like I can see the people that I like to have conversations with. We'll have a beer, catch up, but like I know like Dan likes the same music I do, so I can talk to Dan about that, and Big Dan's in sales, so I can talk to Big Dan about sales or whatever it is. And then you want to support. You want to like know the people, you want to respect them, but that's where I would also draw the line. Is like if I'm looking at like my ideal community, it's like it doesn't necessarily need to be a big city or a small community. I think you can have both in some senses. Like especially in our city, like neighborhoods are so prevalent in Pittsburgh, like very distinct, different neighborhoods, and people are very subject to the neighborhood they're from. Like that's that's all I know. That's all I want. Like don't make me drive to Upper St. Clair. I don't want to. 30 minutes ago, have an umpire call us out when we're safe, dude. I'm gonna hate that guy. Or hit 3 potholes on the way to freaking wherever we're going to hit golf balls.
Cold Springs, baby.
Oh god, I was so excited.
They've been working on that road for the last they've been fixing that entire area. It's insane. That road's been closed for months now.
God, yeah. Well, I wonder why.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like I think you can have your cake and eat it too, in the sense that I like the environment of the city. I like the amenities of a city, but like when I went to Asheville, like I love that, man. Like as far as outside the people, like I can be in a town that has like grocery, great restaurants, things to do, great art scene, great music. And then in 20 minutes, I can be around absolutely nobody in the middle of the woods on top of the Smoky Mountains. That's what I'm looking for as far as like a place. As far as people go, like I want to know the people, I want to respect the people, I want to feel comfortable around the people, and then I'm gonna draw that line right there. Like I don't need someone just like knocking on my door, dropping off a sheet of brownies and asking me how my kids are. Like I want some things to say private to me. I won't be yearning for that maybe because I don't have kids. Once the kids all hang out or whatever, I'm sure that one day will come. But right now, it's that idea of like having people that are there to support you, having people who genuinely care about you, who are happy to see you and happy to converse, and there's a sense of community there, but not so much the sense that you get lost in it, or you still don't have a life outside of that too. I feel like people get too invested in their communities, and they're too afraid to go out and actually explore what else is out there.
They lost their own personal persona. Yeah, I would say for me, it's definitely I'm yearning for, like, it bums me out. Like, living on this street that we live on right now, like, I don't mind my neighbors, but like, I'm not to the point where like I'm gonna have a meal with really any of these people, nor do I really know if any of these people want to have a meal with me. You know what I mean? Like, I'm the grizzly fuck on the street who probably just
The
has
guy who got plants.
I'm the guy who's got plants and makes the neighborhood stink on a regular basis. So like, I don't know if these people even want to be friends with me, to where like I want to live on that Sandlot street. I want to live on that street where the people are all cool. Like, I don't give a shit that Tommy's in his garage across the street ripping music at 1 o'clock working on his fucking dirt bike. You know what I mean? Like, I don't give a shit. Like, that kind of stuff doesn't bother me. I want to know that like that person has my back and I got their back. And that when I leave my house, like, that's the one thing I do have here. That is why I've stuck it out here for like until we finally get this opportunity in the next, very short amount of time to buy the homestead and start working towards that and whatnot. I have that sense of like, I feel like everybody looks out for each other here though still. And like they do, like, well, who's that shady person walking down the street? Like, I feel like there's still that, like, if something were to happen, I feel like either one of these people would call or would tell me. We still communicate, we still do those kind of things, but like, we're not at the point where like I'm hanging out with my neighbor because to be blunt, I don't respect him. And that's wrong of me. That's not wrong of him. Like, that is 100% on me. But like, I just, as a man, like, I feel like there should be like I want to continue to be like, Haas tells me constantly she's the man in our relationship. And so like, I know that I'm a man and I know that I'm working towards becoming the man of my dreams. But like, I just feel like there's something more to being a man that maybe my neighbors we don't see eye to eye. And that's kind of where like that disconnect comes from. But like, yeah, Haas tells me that she's the man in the relationship and that I'm more feminine. But as a man, like, you should be grounded in your masculine energy, but have all the capabilities of being able to tap into that feminine energy.
Mm-hmm.
And just like a female should be so grounded in her feminine energy, but be able to utilize some of that masculine energy for different categories, because like the female and the male are just so different in that category. And there's just so much to it. Like, and a man doesn't become a man unless he has a good woman. Like, the woman is I'm a man sitting here telling all y'all ladies, like, that feminine energy is so damn strong. Like, but that's where the internet and social media for me right now is turning men into females and females into men. And that really bums me out. That's one of the things that bums me out about the internet is like, we're not allowing men to be men and have the capabilities of that feminine energy. We're basically like, we got a lot of females out there that are like degrading men right now and just like basically just like ripping them to the fucking ground. And you got these men becoming really weak over here because they're just like, well, what the fuck is the purpose to do anything? Because like the whole reason why I was who I was to be able to like protect and provide for a woman. And now these women are just tearing me apart. But then you got the men over here who are like the terrible, toxic, masculine men who just want to downgrade women, and women are like, their entities are like, they're basically objects that are just there.
And they're threatened by the successful ones.
Yeah. And it's such a shame. Like, that's where the internet fucks everything up for me. And that's where the small community of men being men and females being females and having the ability to tap into the other side's energy is what I'm diligently craving.
It's not so much a gender roles thing. I think it's just a roles in your life in general. Like, yeah, like, you're right. I think as far as accountability goes, like, yes, to be truly a man, like, you need a woman. There's a clear difference for what a woman brings to the table for you to see how you can grow as a person, for sure, or what person you should be or who you should strive to be, and then trying to empower you to do so. But it just seems like the yearning is for like specific rules. Like, we're so genetically, primally based to like go and seek shelter and comfort and provide that, like, as a man. Like, those are like rules that are built into you. So like when it's being punched down, you're being punched down for just trying to act in the way that you're just wired is nuts. Like, I don't know, imagine telling ChatGPT, like, you're a fucking idiot, dude. You're wrong, dude.
You'll never be correct in your
you'll
life.
never be correct. That guy's just gonna like shut down, man.
Beep, boop.
Yeah. And no, but I just think like that's something that gets lost in the sauce for sure, as far as the social media and the rules go of like, okay, like what purposes do I bring to the table? What should I actually, what intention should I be setting to go out there and achieve and actually make for a life worth living, as opposed to just listening to what the very, very vocal minority has to tell me on the internet. And that's a lot of the issue too. I think the internet that is not, again, back to reality. That is not what reality is. Most of the time when you hear all like, even in conversation we've had of issues or like the vegan and carnivore, that is like such a small percentage of the population of the world having those conversations, but so loud because it's out there, because you're so interconnected. It's goes back to why I hate it so much. Right? It's hard to perceive what actually is real. Does everyone feel this way? No. Actually, no one feels this way. One person made a video about it, and now that's your reality?
Yeah.
No.
And that to me would be like right now, the conversation that we're having of discussing whether or not it's small communities or big cities. Like, we're not sitting here saying that either one is the cookie cutter mentality to every single person, and that like we should all go back to small communities. That's the way it is. No other way. Like, we've already put together the list of all of the advantages and the disadvantages to each, and they weigh themselves out. Like, being in a big city, you got so much more opportunity for like to be influenced or to connect with so many more people. Being in a small community, you're not going to get that. Your pool of people is smaller. Like, if you're the person born into that small community and you just don't vibe with that whole situation, like, you're going to grow up in that small community and you're going to fucking hate it. And you're just going to be like, this is horrible. Small communities suck. Like, because you didn't have any other person in that liked hacky sack. You lived with 50 people and not a goddamn one of them liked hacky sack. And you're like, what the fuck, man? There's someone else out there gotta like hacky sack, right?
Big city dreaming. I just gotta find a guy who likes hacky sack. That's what like it turns into, though, is you start, it's like that's every pop punk song from like the mid 2000s. Like, oh, I want to get out of my town. I fucking hate everybody here. I've seen there's the 6 people and I hate them all. You know?
Yeah.
It's like, that's what it kind of turns into. But and there is probably the, hey, if you were built in a small community, you probably have dreams of living in the big city. And if you, like us, not so much of a big city, but live in a city, your dream is like, how the hell do I get out of here?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy that everybody always wants what they don't have. Constantly.
You
like,
never just see it for what it is and appreciate it.
No, the kid down in Oklahoma, they want to move to a big city because they've been living in a small town where everybody knows everybody and there's a casino. Almost every single person works at the casino. And like they're dying to get to a big city to like experience that and see what it's like, because all they know is just small town rural Oklahoma, you know? And for me, I'm like, man, I love being in the city to where like I get opportunities. Like, I'm not going to have an experience like I've had this past Wednesday ever if I move to a homestead or I'm off, you know, doing my own thing off grid. Like, I was getting ready to come over and record the skits with you guys, and there was a young kid who must have knocked on the door, but I didn't hear him. And I open up the garage and I'm carrying a bin out and he's walking down the driveway. And I go, he turns around and he goes, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if you're coming out because you might heard me knocking or if you're just coming out to put that in the car. And I was like, oh, well, to be blunt and honest with you, man, I did not hear you knocking. I'm just coming out to put this stuff in the car, but you're obviously probably selling something. So like, what's going on? And we start chatting and whatnot. And he talks about how he's selling solar panels. And I told him, I don't own this place and I'm not going to be living here too much longer. He's like, double whammy, fuck this shit. You don't want it. And, but he asked me, he goes, I love your energy. Like, you're so vibrant. Like, what do you do, man? And I told him, I said, well, we got a media company we're building. I got a podcast, one of my best bros, and I work project management right now. And he goes, damn. I said, but what are you doing, man? Like, I want to know about you. Like you seem really cool and like you got your shit together and like you definitely seem like you're an entrepreneur. Like, fill me in. I said, what's your dream? And he answers and whatnot. He starts walking away and he turns around and he goes, Zach, do you know who Simon Squibb is? And I said, yeah, I know exactly who Simon Squibb is. And he goes, you remind me so much of Simon Squibb. And I said, damn, that was the compliment I needed. That was like the compliment I needed right now. And for you and for everybody else out there who doesn't know who Simon Squibb is from the UK and he built out, basically all these different businesses. He came from what he claims nothing, and he built out all these businesses, and now he has a TikTok and a company called Help Bank. And basically, like, he walks around and he just asks people, like, what is your dream? And then he makes their dream a reality, and like helps. Like he's walked up to people. A good example, like he's walked up to people and like asked, like, what is your dream? And they've said like, oh, well, my dream is to, start a restaurant. And he's like, well, I have like 6 investors coming into town this week to discuss a couple different opportunities that we were working on. Would you be willing to cook for us? Here's $1,000. Would you be willing to bring like your dishes that you would make for your restaurant to this? And then we will get these guys, we got 6 investors sitting at this table. Like, I'm sure someone's going to want to invest in this business. And so like all these people are just like, and he also put these like little Ring cameras all around the world in a couple different cities. And you just go up and they're on his Help Bank, like company buildings. And you just go up and you tell them what your dream is. And like the Help Bank, like company finds funding or like different stuff to like try to help create your reality. And his biggest thing is everybody's always asked, what do you want to do with your life? And his biggest thing is to ask kids and like younger people, what answer do you want to solve for the world? Like what problem do you want to solve for the world? And that to me is so fascinating. Like, what do you see in the world that you want to help like change? Like that is, so he's like right now, like he called Mr. Beast out and like he's trying to get Mr. Beast to like help him, like, because Mr. Beast has probably hands down the most influence out of anybody really out there, arguably. And so he's trying to get Mr. Beast to help him get more influence out there to completely revamp the whole educational system. And this is when Jimmy Donaldson is going to be able to show the world whether or not the darkness of this world owns his ass or not. And yeah, so we'll see. But like, that's like that to me, like, I'm not going to get that experience of some kid coming up to my house and just like having an interaction with this guy and meeting Raul and like being Raul, like maybe like 10 years down the road, like Raul is like now like completely, associated with Scooby Ruby Media. And like, he's like our entire like thing, or maybe he's gone off and done his own thing and we start working with him on something, you know what I mean? So like, I'm not going to get those scenarios or potential like experiences living off in the woods.
Yeah, but that's when the internet could be a tool. You could go out and seek out people that have share the same mindset as you and align with you in a different way and build a community that way if you set the right intent. Right. That's the issue. Most people won't. And that's probably, we go back to the addictive nature of the social media or like the wrongs in it, not the rights. And sure, like I think in you live in the middle of the woods, you can still connect with just as many people. You can find people that align with you, but you have to seek it out.
I think there's also something important to plug in there too. Right now, we're kind of living in the age of advertising as well. Something I had in the notes, just waiting for the right moment to mention it. Right now, with advertising and for social media in general, it's kind of like the gum that you walk past whenever you go to check out at the grocery store. Like, that's the way our internet often works. And for me, I was thinking about it as far as search engines. That was my initial plug, was that in search engines, you pay for priority. So the Snickers bar that's at your eye level, or the pack of gum, that nice green pack of gum that's staring right back at you, talking to you, it's $1, maybe it's $2. And then you're like, I really don't need it, but click. And then there you have it. And you're like, oh, well, I didn't really need that. Now I'm cycling this thing around my brain. And now all that information that we have, that's click of a button. It could be good, it could be bad, but it's there. And advertising, if there's one thing I remember from Intro to Philosophy, is about this guy talking about advertising. It presents needs that are kind of skewed. So the Miller Lite commercial, I'm not hating on Miller Lite. I'll choose another one. We'll just call it Filler Lite. Filler Lite. Love you, Miller Lite. But Filler Lite has a commercial that takes a couple of bros out on an adventure. And then they're all hiking and they're all pounding beers and they're canoeing. And then the message that we receive from our brains, our pre-programmed advertising brains, is that if you drink Filler Lite, you'll have an adventure. So what do? We go buy a 12-pack of Filler Lite, and then we go sit down on the couch, crack a beer by ourselves, and then we start drinking it. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh yeah, I was going to get this adventure. And so I went to Sheetz, and I went to the beer cave, and then I grabbed myself some Filler Lite, and then I went home, and I cracked it. And now I'm sitting watching, we'll just say a Penguins game. I'm not looking at you two on purpose. I'm just switching back and forth. But yeah, we end up with these commercials and these false ideas that all of a sudden, we feel like we've hit a need, and then we go to pull the trigger on that need, and it ends up that we're just misguided, going down the wrong lane altogether.
God, it's so true. Just imagine, I think about, you mentioned the candy in the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
With the way the internet's built now too, like stealing data. Imagine if you're at the grocery store, or not stealing data, using your data. Imagine at the grocery store, instead of it being candy bars, it's just like how the internet is like, oh, you needed a new pair of socks. It just popped up there. Like, oh, I was just talking about the socks.
And then it goes and yells and tells everybody, hey, you bought a pair of socks for $3.99. But then Facebook gets that and they go, oh, Brandon buys socks.
Yeah.
And then the next one,
Brandon just bought this pair of socks.
now I have an Amazon ad on my Facebook that says Brandon likes socks.
Brandon has such great feet. Jeez. I want to have feet like Brandon.
Yeah. But yeah, it could be a blessing and a curse, but that's one of the curses I see, is the attention and the fight for attention and just taking us down the completely wrong lane. That's what I think about that.
To finish this episode, I would say for me, I'm all about one planet. The internet, love you, but fuck you at the same time. If you go into it with the right intention, you're going to get the right, out. And I think that's what it is with even just the planet. If I go into my reality with the fact that I'm going to treat my planet good, then my planet's going to treat me good back. Just if I start growing plants, in my yard, but I've been tearing down and demolishing shit, or I'm the guy who goes camping and leaves all my trash on the fucking ground, then I'm going to come back and my garden's going to be completely eaten by all of the animals, because the planet's not going to allow me to, have all this bountiful nourishment when I've been just shitting on it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, it's one planet, but what do you guys think?
I'm kind of with you. I mean, I think we could survive without the internet. We can't survive without the planet. You know, right now we only got one home. As far as I know, we only have one home, and that's it. And you know, we could have our communities. We can help each other out. We did it for, you know, tens of thousands to millions of years. We've done it. The internet's only been around since we'll just say 1975, even though it's probably 80s. We'll just say 75 because they're, you know, government's always like 5-10 years ahead of everybody else anyway with sharing technology. So we've had it for almost 50 years, in my opinion. People will probably correct me and say, we've had it since 1999. Well, you know what? I'm just going to go out on a limb and say we've had computers for a lot longer than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's room for both. I think the necessity of the internet is it's losing its true opportunity to help us grow as a society. Like, it should be a tool we use to grow, and it is. Like, there's so many advances that we use on a daily basis to make our lives better that are built straight from computers and the internet and whatnot. And unfortunately for us, or fortunately, we'll see, it's only going to be, like you said, it's going up. It's trending up. It's skyrocketing at such an exponential rate that there's no stopping it at this point. But for me, moving forward, it's going to need to be on, like we mentioned, an intent base. I'm doing this so I can benefit me in, like, where I stand right now, like where my feet are, the pavilion, no shoes on, couple kids around me throwing beer.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's like, how is what, you know, I've learned on the internet or what tools I've accessed going to benefit me in those moments, not how am I going to escape the reality I find myself in tonight by, you know, staring at YouTube short videos for 3.5 hours. I'd much rather look at the screen time of my phone that pops up every Sunday and not go, wow. I'd much rather go, okay, that's still a good part of your day is with your phone in some instance on, but knowing that I use it to, like, research things I want to, or have I'm tracking my bike rides or whatever it is. Like, that's the shit I want to use the technology for, to benefit me as a person, not so much as to me, like, just avoiding the things that I really don't want to face.
Because one of the things that we didn't get into today, which might be the next time we talk about this topic, if we talk about it again, was the exchange of information. And to me, like, when we didn't have the internet, it was carrier pigeons. I don't know. You know, to me, it was just the local traveler who was walking into the pub and was telling his stories from all of his excursions. And that's how information was traveling. Or the messenger from one tribe to another was, we got to send off Tommy so that he can take his 4-day trek to go to the next town over to share that my daughter's getting married, you know? Like, I don't know, the shit like that. So yes. Now there's a bombardment. I think that I don't need to know. Yeah.
Absolutely right.
99% of the shit that most people are posting online, probably, like, yeah, you're right. It's, I don't know how to phrase it without sounding mean or, like, ignorant about it.
It's not helpful. Yeah, I feel like it
could be potentially not helpful. Let's call it fluff. It's a lot of added fluff. And so we appreciate all you guys riding out with us. We got Derek, we got Brandon, and myself, Zach. And this was episode 25. One planet, one internet. Who wins? And I think we settled on it. Appreciate you guys. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks again for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, don't hesitate to catch our next release, episode 26, Domesticated, Taming a Wild Beast to Love. The group saddles up and discusses all the favorite animals over the years, all the pets we've had, soul pets, and just about anything regarding animals that was interesting and wild to us in our existence so far in life. Take care, Appreciate you guys listening.